uncertain economic environment has depressed the mergers and acquisitions activity around the world, with no major headlines of any acquisitions coming in the last few years. Hello and welcome to this very special panel discussion. We try and understand if India has actually lost its appetite for major global acquisitions. Let me introduce our guests on the show. With us here, Mr. Pramod Bhasin. He is, of course, the Executive Vice Chairman of Genpact and also Chairperson of the Skills Academy. Mr. Adi Godrej, Chairman of the Godrej Group and President CRI. Dr. Rana Kapoor, he's Founder, MD and CEO of Yes Bank. Thank you all for being with us here. It's a no-brainer when we're going to see depressed economic activity that we're not going to see too many announcements of mergers and acquisitions, but it's almost now a worrying trend. Is India Inc. getting a bit too cautious?
I don't think it's getting cautious. I think circumstances have changed. One, the world's been in some turmoil, access to financing has been harder, and I think local growth has been slower for many companies, so they've had to spend a lot of time focusing on their core business of growth and building up that growth or getting more efficient. I think the moment as sentiment changes, and it is changing now, and as some of the sentiment around growth comes back, I think we will see the same appetite, maybe not to the same extent, but certainly a lot of appetite. The other point I would just make is there is a learning to this, there is a cycle to this. As companies get used to making acquisitions, they will spend some time digesting these acquisitions, learning from the mistakes they may have made.
For instance, maybe overpaying for some of those assets.
Maybe overpaying. And equally, the reason acquisitions do or don't succeed is really culture and strategy.
Right.
Frankly, after all the acquisition we did, say, as part of GE, price was not the issue most of the time.
Okay, it was the cultural issues.
It was cultural or strategic issues which was either misread or didn't integrate very well. I think we will all learn from that, but I don't see why we've lost our appetite.
So he clearly believes we've not lost our appetite, and then my question would be that if you're in a slowdown and if you're seeing a downturn around the world, that's actually the perfect opportunity and timing to find those distressed assets and see some of those distressed sales happening around the world. So why is India Inc. not picking up on those? And we're known to be actually otherwise quite aggressive in going ahead and finding some of those.
No, it works both ways. So clearly there are good opportunities available when the global economy is in a slowdown, but at the same time raising finances becomes more difficult. In the euphoria of 2007, a lot of acquisitions did take place or around that time, and now clearly people are concerned. People have seen companies suffer from high debt equity ratios, etc., so people don't want to venture into high debt equity situations for acquisitions. But at the same time, good opportunities are being picked up. So for example, our group, we've made one acquisition earlier this financial year in South America.
Right.
And we are continuing with a major acquisition we made in Africa, which is to be consummated in 3 phases. So we've completed the first 2 phases, and now in about a year's time, we'll consummate the 3rd phase.
And you continue to be looking for more?
Yes, we will continue to look for more.
Everyone seems to be talking about the financing requirements, the fact that we're just seeing it tougher and tougher to raise that money. Is that a real problem? Is that the main reason why we're not seeing those headlines of major big global acquisitions?
Well, in my personal view, that acquisitions in India sponsored by large conglomerates are not that difficult anymore, because Indian credit risk driven by the top 50, let's say, or 100 corporate houses is by far one of the best credit risks in the world. I think the issue is the basket of growth has changed. What we were doing earlier is acquiring automobile companies and hotel companies, and now there's an opportunity in fast-moving consumer goods, for example, in the IT space, like Headstrong did. Genpact took over Headstrong. The acquisitions Godrej Group has led in South America and Africa and Asia. I think the basket is changing, and for that there are very strong Indian bankers who are willing to support that through thick and thin.
Would you agree?
Yes,
I think there is that support coming from the banking industry.
For companies that have a strong balance sheet, the opportunities, if the opportunities are good, one has to be very careful that one doesn't acquire for the sake of acquisition.
Right.
It must make both strategic and accretive sense.
Right.
And if that is so, I think Indian companies are prepared to go ahead, and I agree with him. The bankers are willing to support. but one has to always watch the risks. I think several Indian companies over leverage their balance sheets. Now a lot of them are in the process of deleveraging the balance sheets.
Yes.
And a slowdown is also the time when again those lessons are learned, when again you question whether you made those mistakes, as you were saying, perhaps by going in for valuations that perhaps were not justifiable, taking bigger risks. Simply the risk appetite goes down.
I think as you said, you shouldn't do acquisitions for the sake of acquisition,
Right.
or just because you want to be bigger. That's never a good enough reason. You have to do it for strategic reasons. You have to have a very good plan to integrate them really well with your group. Many groups are very diversified. So what culture do they adopt? What sales, marketing, other synergies do they get from an acquisition? We just have to study them. I also agree with Rana on the financing side. I do think when you're buying overseas, it's harder to get financing today. It's quite hard because banks are less happy taking the risks, and they're charging more. They have their own issues. The foreign banks. I'm not talking about
I'll get his
Indian
perspective on the foreign banks as well.
So I think local banks are very unique. I would add just one other point. I think acquisition is a continuous game.
Right.
Yes, there will be cycles up and down, but most companies, I'm sure, like the Godrej or somebody, have a team which is constantly active and constantly scouting.
Looking for those opportunities around the world and finding the right fit, really.
And finding the right fit, and this applies to multiple geographies at any point in time, and I think Indian companies are at a point where they can explore that.
But also the fact that many times you hear this being said that the Indian government messed it up, and corporates here are clearly very unhappy with the policies here. They'd like to now put in their money overseas. Is that only talk, or is that something that corporates really believe in? Actually, I'll get Mr. Godrej to answer that before I come to you. Is that something that's actually a trend?
No, I don't think Indian companies have looked at acquiring companies outside instead of investing in India. It's always been in addition to investing in India. So for example, in our FMCG business, we work on negative working capital. We don't need capital for investments in India.
Right.
We can grow all we need to without any capital. And so therefore, we found investing outside the country very accretive.
Right.
Our earnings per share improved, our shareholders benefited, and we'll continue to do that. We've never thought of it as an investment instead of making an investment in it. It's always been in addition to.
And the slowdown and the policy paralysis, etc., notwithstanding, that's not reason enough
in
why
any
you
case, FMCG has not been affected. The only sectors that have been affected are the ones that deal with the government or where government permissions are required. Infrastructure, mining,
But
power.
perhaps in your position as president of CII, do you feel enough corporates now saying that we're just tired of the policy environment in India? You know what? Our growth is now going to be all overseas acquisitions or investments overseas. We're not looking at growth in India.
I've never seen that being stated in so many words.
Okay.
I think Indian acquisitions outside and expansion outside is in addition to the desire to expand in India. It's very clear now that Indian companies have gained size and scale. They are very competitive now globally, and India has been particularly successful in acquisitions outside. I don't say every company has been successful,
but there have
generally
been
if you look
several
at the
success
Japanese
stories.
wave of acquisition outside or even the Chinese wave, India has been relatively more successful in its acquisitions outside.
But the opportunity is in adversity is the best opportunity.
Yes.
Secondly, the cost of capital, thanks to Western economies, is all-time low. Good management, good ability to take over and build cultural synergy with the local partners is very important in overseas acquisition. So I personally believe that Indian business houses, medium and large, need to really now take full advantage of assets which are super cheap and buy brands. What I think is missing in India.
They don't seem to be doing too much of that. Would you agree?
What happened was when Tata's bought Tattly,
Right.
India actually acquired its first brand, global brand, right? Starbucks has just come as only a partnership. But the fact of the matter is that India needs to build global brands. If Godrej can be a global brand and Tetley is a global brand owned by an Indian house, I think we have to recognize one thing, that geographic appellation, today building trust marks, local management, being able to create viable models and build cost structures in India that can translate into very good, fast-moving consumer good businesses. I think there's an opportunity which is very distinct. I think Indian corporate houses right now are going through a little bit of complacency, not realizing that the opportunity is fantastic right now.
Respond to that, complacency.
Well,
Not his group, not his group.
I asked you this question not as chairman of Godrej Group, but as president of CII.
No, I think obviously people have to be a little careful when the global economy is going through a downturn. When the Indian economy decelerated to a low 5.5% quarterly growth rate. So one has to be careful, and I think we are seeing the manifestations of that care being taken, and there would obviously be a little bit of risk aversion at times like this.
Right.
But as the economy accelerates,
And picks
as the
up.
perception about India improves, I think this will turn around very rapidly.
I just add one thing. I don't know that there are that many groups in India that have the sophistication to handle a major
Global acquisition. I was about to come to that, but
You know,
have we
I think-
evolved enough?
I think there are some groups which are eminently capable, clearly.
Right.
And I think we know who they are, and one of the
Absolutely.
gentlemen is sitting next to me here. But,
Right.
but there are many other groups which you need management bandwidth. You need to know how to work in a foreign country. You need to know how to help grow that brand and not destroy it. It's very easy to destroy brands and acquisition. I'm not suggesting GE has done it, but in some cases we've done 200 acquisitions. We used to do 100 a year. In some cases, in a few odd cases, there was no question that perhaps we unintentionally didn't grow the brand. So it takes a lot of effort and a level of sophistication, which, given the economic woes this country was going through,
Right.
it was hard to get the management bandwidth to tackle both. I think once we start coming out of it, I really think that will come back. The last point I would make is it's a lot about confidence also.
Sure.
And I think as Indian companies become more competitive and more confident about playing with on the global scale, I think this will also come back again.
So what, according to you, is lacking more? Is it the confidence, or is it the lack of sophistication, as he's saying? Because why do we assume that every Indian business house can handle that major global acquisition?
Actually, you'll be surprised to know that the management bench strength we have in India in the top 100, 200, I would say even top 500 houses is absolutely fantastic. Because our ability to, understand cost structures, to be able to create efficiencies, to create superior productivity, to handle financial management astutely is a very big, strength in Indian business houses. It's just a question of, taking the right positive step, having that confidence, as has been said, and moving ahead, because the cost of fund structure right now is super attractive for Indian companies to go and acquire international businesses and international brands. Well, I think what India needs today is more brand acquisition. The second point I also want to make is that the return on equity in Indian businesses, the ROI on Indian businesses,
Sure.
despite the ups and downs of the cycles, global crisis, European crisis, and somewhat, the Indian crisis as well, the ROIs have stacked up rather well. So, home country models have become also, re-engineered in terms of growth. So, a lot of good groups also realizing that it's better to do business in Nagaland and Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh than to go to XYZ exotic country. So we must...
And when you're getting the growth here, then why even look at markets where it's much tougher?
Absolutely right. We have to look at trade-offs, because the opportunity, in India itself, because India also provides you the same counter-cyclical opportunity. And I think India in itself is becoming more and more attractive, especially when there's a downturn.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is my question, Mr. Godrej?
No, but you see, you mentioned about growth opportunities in India. Now
Right.
it depends on what industry you're in.
Sure.
Take our FMCG company, Godrej Consumer Products. Now, obviously, growth opportunities in India are very good. We are growing at 20% plus, but we can't think of growing at 35%.
Okay.
Because if we do that, then we must gain market share from some competitors,
And
we'll
that's
start
where
a
you
price
stop-
war, etc.
yeah.
So we are very happy to grow at 20% in India and add to growth. So we've been growing, our consumer products company has been growing at about 35% a year, by adding acquisitions to our domestic growth. And financing is not difficult. As I said, we work on negative working capital, etc. Now, we have a very fast growing properties business where the opportunities in India are huge.
Sure.
No property company has more than a 3 or 4% share of the Indian market. So we don't have to
So
worry
there's that
about
huge-
competitive activity, etc. The
Affordable
opportunity
homes
is
is,
huge, the
yeah.
category is big. Now we don't want to grow outside India in that category. We have enough opportunities in
So it
India.
depends sector by sector, but as such, do enough Indian business houses have that global ambition?
I think quite a few do. Quite a few small Indian businesses, houses have gone globally. Some others may not want to. And I think there will always be a mix. You can't have a uniform practice going on in a country by all business houses. The Japanese did that. At one time, Japanese companies started acquiring huge number of companies outside and they paid a bad price for it.
We have top corporate leaders with us, and we can't not talk about the corporate mood right now and whether or not it's changing. Mr. Pramod Bhasin, your views really, because everyone wants to know if optimism is back, if the much talked about reforms in the last few weeks are really paying off in terms of at least turning the tide.
I think definitely, there's no question about it. You know, if you go back and remember what it is that caused this doom and gloom, it was really government inactivity and a lack of ability to get stuff done. As that improves, and I always felt it at that time, that actually the fix for the problem was perhaps not as profound or needed that much time. And as is already happening, as some of these actions are taking place, I think sentiment all around is improving. Now, we have many
But there are
other...
others who argue that there's just been way too much damage that's done and it's not going to be undone so easily.
You know, I don't know what kind of damage that is, frankly, because I think, I certainly don't recognize that. Don't get me wrong, there is a massive amount of work to be done on infrastructure, health, education. You can look across the board, and I will say this very, very openly, that we have made insufficient progress in the last year in simple things like power and roads and
Absolutely.
you know, things that industry needs to thrive. To get to the next level of growth will be a challenge. Let's not make any mistake about that. But the sentiment has turned, and I think it's turned also overseas, where people are seeing the government take some action, and I just think that will have a long-term impact.
Sentiment has picked up. Will growth pick up as well?
Yes, I think both the perception and the sentiment on India has definitely turned around. I feel growth is already accelerating. I expect the third quarter growth rate will be higher than the second quarter growth rate, and I think the second half this year will show a higher growth rate than in the second half of the last financial year. So I think definitely the tide has changed. I think the worst is behind us.
Sure.
And now it's a question of how many new reforms we are able to implement quickly to see whether we can get back to a very rapid growth rate. And I am very hopeful that in a year or two we can be at a fast growth rate. There is certainly the potential, and we need the execution.
You've always maintained, especially before the reforms, whenever I used to talk to you about the overall mood, sentiment, growth situation, you always said, you know what, the perception is much worse than reality. The government seems to be tackling the perception issue, so now the reality is also looking better.
Oh yes, definitely. Reality is looking better, and the perception has improved. I think the big problem, the lack of reform was a problem, but the big problem was in the last budget, the retrospective amendments and the GAR provisions. That created a very negative perception about India.
Terrible
After a
timing for
Supreme
it,
Court
right.
judgment, you turn it around through legislative action, to my mind, was uncalled for. And that created a very negative perception, and now fortunately that has turned around.
And that issue is being addressed.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you one other question, which I'm hoping that Mr. Kapoor will also answer, which is on interest rates and the entire stress levels that we're now seeing between Finance Ministry as well as the Reserve Bank of India. Many within corporate India believe that it's one of the major factors that seem to be holding back growth. But it's obviously a view that the Reserve Bank doesn't seem to share, that they don't think interest rates are hampering growth as much as the industry seems to believe.
Now let me say, I am very clear. This repo and reverse repo rate needs to be reduced. And even if you talk about inflation, to my mind, not reducing it is in fact inflationary. And I'll tell you why. Because what's happening today, the interest rate is very high, which is affecting GDP growth, which is affecting it's making the rupee depreciate. And rupee depreciation is the major cause for inflation. All imported commodities,
Sure.
crude oil, etc. are high. So to my mind, it's actually working against containing inflation.
Would you agree, and why doesn't the Reserve Bank seem to agree with that view then?
So my view is that quite like Adi, growth is almost or even more important than inflation containment. But the monetary policy right now has built its nucleus around, anchoring inflation expectations.
But haven't they stretched it a bit much?
Unless that gear changes, which I believe will happen by the end of this calendar
But too
year.
late is what some would say.
Not really, because
little, too
at
late.
7.5% wholesale price index, real rates in India are not that high.
That high.
So
right.
we have to recognize in terms of pure economics, interest rates with 7.5% inflation are not that high. I think the more important point that I know has been understood by Indian business is that there should be ample liquidity. To me, liquidity in the banking system, not just for banks, but the fact is that it should be available to all borrowers, large, medium, small, extra small,
Sure.
included consumer. The fact is that we have ample liquidity in the system. So the cumulative benefits of CRR, the SLR reduction, and the fact is that the cost of fund structure for the banks is coming down. I think growth will become pretty much the torchbearer next year. But we need to see that the inflation anchoring works. And I will not disagree too much with Adi that growth in our country is the eventual solution for inflation in the long haul, because we need capital formation, we need investment formation, we need supply side growth to happen, accretion to happen, so that there is a permanent correction to inflation, because we are a very consumption, high demand economy, and that we don't want to curb, because that's the resilience, that's the biggest strength of our Indian economy today.
Absolutely, and those are the fundamentals that we keep talking about. A last word to you, Mr. Bhasin. Exceptional circumstances demand exceptional policies from institutions. Do you think in that sense both the government and the Reserve Bank have in some ways failed us by coming out with those exceptional policy responses?
I think in the past there has been a lot of gridlock, as we all have talked about. I hope they won't fail us in future. I actually agree with what Adi and Rana have both said. Growth is more important. And you watched this experiment happen, by the way, in various countries in Europe.
Absolutely.
So the lessons are there for us to read ourselves. Growth is more important. You try and hold inflation down and that starts collapsing growth. That's a far more worse result.
So my question again remains that why is the central bank not realizing that?
And I think the central bank, I don't think there's anything like too late. Okay, so I just want to make that point.
Very late, but not too late.
It may be very late, but not
At
too
least
late.
he says it's very late,
And I think we need that. And I suspect the Reserve Bank governor has significant pressure on him.
Absolutely. We know about that significant pressure given the kind of statements we saw coming out of North Block on that day of the credit policy. But we're going to end this discussion on that very optimistic note that yes, we're hoping that things will turn for the better very soon. Many thanks all of you for joining us and sharing your views. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.